kisses her without her permission, and I don't think she kissed him back. She just kind of stayed there. And ladies and gentlemen, if she were to do that to him, he would have a full-on paranormal experience. The man would not be able to stay inside his body because he had such a reaction at camping when she wanted to lay next to him that if she were to do this same thing to him, it wouldn't be equal. If she were to say she wanted to have sex with him, if she were to kiss him without his permission, this is just such a double standard. It makes me sick.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome back, everybody, or for the first time. This is Two Queens, One Screen. I'm Jen.
I'm Keeley.
And we are here to talk about our favorite reality TV this week. Like most weeks that we're doing this. So.
Yep.
This week was extra good because I know our listeners have now decided they are also very interested in Traitors. And we had the season finale of season 3 of Traitors this week.
Yes, ma'am.
Keeley, I believe I'm the one that told you to watch Traitors, right?
That is correct.
And then Keeley went full on and watched both previous seasons of Traitors, which I have not. So I told her about it, and then she became the expert. This is my first finale of Traitors, so this is the first time I've seen them go all the way through. Keeley, you've seen 2 other finales.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this finale compared to the last ones?
Well, I didn't like season 2. I just logistically, I don't like how they do the ending. I just don't like how they do it. I think they do with too many people left over. Mm-hmm. I don't like the fire pit. I don't like it. Season 2, they had 3 people left over. Oh. They were all faithful, and they all seemed to get along. I thought it was going to be good, and they were going to end the game. Oh my gosh, they blindsided 1 out of the 3. Oh. So the first fire pit where they threw the satchels in, the girl that they banished, she was the only one that her satchel was green. The 2 that ended up winning threw their satchels and it was red. So they kicked her off and they completely blindsided her. They told her that they were going to keep her. And they didn't. They kicked her off.
The faithful were the traitors at the end.
Yeah. And which is fine. I mean, I get all of that game playing. The 2 of them were on MTV The Challenge. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, I recognized them. I mean, it was like from oh my gosh, I'm going to date myself, in the 90s. Anyway. And so I don't like how they do that. I don't like how they give them the opportunity to banish somebody at the fire pit and then
do it at the table.
Yeah. I think they should do it at the table. I don't think they should have that many people. I think it's too many people. I guess the 3 isn't too many, but they had, what did they have? 5? Well, they had Brittany.
5 at the table, and then they had 4 at the fire.
Yeah, 4 at the fire. I think 4 is still too many at the fire this season. I don't know. I just don't like the banishment at the fire.
You didn't like the green pyrotechnics?
I mean, all of that is fine. It is what it is. I'm a sourpuss about it. I think they should end the game, right? There shouldn't be a banishment. I don't mind the ending the game.
Yeah.
There at the fire pit. That's fine. But I don't think they should have the opportunity to banish.
Do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I was really disappointed in Alan Cummings' poncho. I just feel like he's looked so much better all season long. I want him ending in his wedding dress again. I felt like the bedazzled poncho.
Yeah.
It looked like somebody put a fleece blanket and bedazzled it. And I was like, I could make that with a hot glue gun. I want to see some couture.
Yeah.
I want to see something. I think he's dressed more impressively. But I liked it. Everyone just fell in love with Dylan. I found him quite charming. And I love that he buddied up with Ivor. And I love that he and Dolores became so close. And I was terrified that they were going to kick out Gabby because I've also fallen in love with her. I have not watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette because I love everything about what that show is. I love a competition. I love love. I love just a bunch of horny people in a house for no good reason and drinking. Yes, like I will watch that every day. The problem is that I know that you have to dedicate hours every week when that's on. Like there's so many hours of that show on television every week. I don't have the time for that. Yeah. So it's like I choose to just say no when it comes to that. And I feel like I've really missed out on Gabby.
Oh, you have.
Every time that a meme pops up with her or a quick little video, I eat it up. I love her. And I love her with her now wife. She just got married. And her new wife, I wouldn't have assumed them together. Yeah. They're just, it doesn't mesh. Dad and I were talking about that earlier. I made him look at her new wife and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. It's farther apart than Ellen and Portia de Rossi. You're like, these don't go together. Yeah. But they do. And she's really, really funny. So I was happy to see her win. I was impressed that they got Brittany out. And I think Brittany was almost disappointed that they figured it out because they were like almost pulling stuff from earlier in the season. It's like, she just got there. I was so proud of Brittany for voting out Danielle.
God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because fucking Danielle, I think everyone kind of hates her now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone's still on Danielle's side.
No, absolutely not.
I didn't get all the way through the reunion last night. Did you get through the reunion?
I didn't watch the reunion. I started to watch the reunion in season 2, and I hated it. So I stopped, and that's why I didn't watch this season. I might start the reunion for season 3, but I don't know. I'm kind of not into it.
Yeah, I don't know that it's worth it. Matt and I were like, ooh, we're going to watch that. And then I was like,
Yeah.
I turned it off because I was coming to talk to you. But the only thing that I found super interesting during the reunion was they had talked about in social media, and some of the contestants who had been kicked off were like, we believed Danielle was a faithful because she was swearing on the heads of her grandchildren. And everyone's like, that's like shitty. And part of me goes, they go, Grandma, how could you? You go, I'm taking you to Disneyland. How about you shut up and you just accept it?
Horrible person.
Like, you guys can swear on my head if you're going to buy me a present after. But she said that she did that because she was trying to convince Dolores. Because Dolores had said, I swear on my children. And then Danielle upped the ante and said, I swear on the heads of my grandchildren. And then saw that really moved people and then just kept going with it. I don't think that Danielle was a bad game player, but I think she wasn't as good as she thought she was. I think Danielle was as impressed with herself as Sandoval was impressed with himself. Both of them not really as warranted as it should be.
Right.
And I'm relieved because my dad said that he did not like Tom Sandoval at the end, because I need at least one man in my life to hate Tom Sandoval as much as I do, and thank God my dad does, because Matt is still Team Sandoval.
No.
And there are people who are like, oh, Sandoval's back. I'm like, yes, Sandoval's not back.
No, Sandoval is not back, and he has dug himself another hole, because did you see him on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen? He's talking shit about Ariana again. So he redeemed himself. Redeemed, people. I hate him. I hate that
to watch on television for a little
right.
bit. He didn't do
Interesting.
anything good.
No. And then he goes on Watch What Happens Live because he was interesting on Traitors. And what does he do with his 2 seconds of redeemability? He talks shit about Ariana, people. Yeah, done. Absolutely done. This is what he's about. He's a piece of crap. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that
Do
tonight.
it. Yeah.
I cannot. I can believe. I can believe he would do it.
Yeah.
She hasn't. I follow her. She doesn't say anything about him anywhere.
No. Why would she?
He can't move on.
Yeah.
I did see. Speaking of the Vanderpump universe, Jax Taylor is like 80-something days clean from a cocaine problem.
Yeah. That Tom Sandoval knew about for the last, 15, 20 years? Yeah, I know. I mean, come on.
How do you be on his side when he's parenting a kid?
Gross.
Poor Brittany. I am so glad that she is done with him. I'm proud of Brittany, and I'm so happy for Brittany, and I hope that The Valley, which Jax Taylor says is his show that he came up with, no one believes that. I just really hope that she's able to keep things going because she was financially supporting Jax after all the racist shit got him kicked off of Vanderpump, and she stood by Jax, but then she was like, I guess I got to start shilling goods on Instagram, and she bought them that house.
Mm-hmm.
Jax is ungrateful.
Yeah.
I hope the worst things for him.
Gross.
But oh, so good. I love mess. So yummy. Speaking of mess, do you want to talk about our last resort?
Oh my gosh. Will this never end? We're on episode 14, people, and we're still going. 14. Yeah. They named it The Last Insult, I guess. Yeah.
There were a lot of insults. A lot of insults this round. I mean, basically, we'll start with Julia and Brandon.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Just because this episode really went with... There was actually therapy in this episode.
Yeah.
Which was thrilling. And there was some pretty good therapy in this episode with therapist Heidi. Where has Heidi been hiding?
An actual functioning therapist?
Yeah. With very reasonable input and actually trying to get to the root of a problem.
Who knew?
Good for you, Heidi. Good work. You earned your paycheck. So there was some therapy, and then the other thing was that they go to a bar again.
My Lord. Yes.
So 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. But Julia went to the bar with everybody. Brandon, really, we didn't see him. We saw him in between the sheets complaining that they went out without him.
But he admitted he stayed home feeling sorry for himself.
Right.
He did say that.
He's still recovering. I mean, he has been just unloaded on by Julia. Over and over and over again. He cannot see how anything is going to move forward. And Julia goes out with everybody. And Julia says, I'm an immigrant and I feel very alone and isolated here. My support system is Brandon and his parents and our dogs, and I have no one else. And the girls all gave her a lot of support. And they're saying, yeah, it is really hard to be an immigrant and to go through this, but you also have to take some ownership and make it a point to go put yourself out there and find friends. Here's my problem with that. They're in bumfuck nowhere, Virginia. Who is she supposed the cows? Who is she supposed to find to be friends with?
Yeah. I mean, there is the Walmart. Maybe a CVS? She could troll the parking lot. One of
Dollar
those.
Tree?
Dollar Tree. All of those. I mean, she can't be friends with Betty, her mother-in-law, because Betty doesn't like her. So that's a no-go. Betty can't introduce her to Betty's friends, right? So that's a no-go. Yeah, I don't know Natalie was the one, wasn't Natalie in Between the Sheets, where she was like,
Yeah.
go, right, do something with your life. I don't feel sorry for you.
Go get your degree. Go try harder. Go do something. Go support yourself. Part of that is kind of true. Like, Julia can go make an effort somewhere, but also she's very isolated in so many different levels. So I can see where she also feels kind of like it's hopeless. And I think in the same way that Jasmine is choosing the wrong solution for her sexless marriage, I think Julia's choosing the wrong solution of, I'm going to bring my parents here so I'm not alone. Like, it's not necessarily the right solution. Does she have a right to ask for that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does she have a right to pursue it? Sure. But there are consequences to that. Namely being, Brandon is like, this fucking sucks. Absolutely no way. And we find out in Between the Sheets, he's been in that room going, how are we going to split things? So it sounds like he and Julia did buy a house.
Yeah.
So they live in their own house. How is he going to split this house?
I don't know. That's true. And I think I asked that last week. Why would you bring, not that you would have to choose, but if your parents are divorced, bringing both over, it's kind of a weird conundrum.
It seems really complicated and very difficult. The likelihood of success seems very low to me. But I also understand why she would want that. But he's fully on the path of going, what does divorce look like? How do we get this started?
Yeah.
He's throwing in the towel and he's starting to think logistics.
Yeah, he's packing his bag and wants to go home.
So that sucks. So that's all we have for them this time, and seems not great. Seems not good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this means anything, but she had also mentioned, if something happened between Brandon and I'm not staying in the U.S. My dream wasn't to live in the U.S. I'm going to go somewhere else. And her Instagram, she's doing a lot of traveling. So who knows?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Then we've got Josh and Natalie.
Oh, please, Jesus.
They had a one-on-one with James again.
Well, Josh did. Josh had it by himself. And apparently he had some come to Jesus moment, or his dick got hard, or I don't know, the wind blew. I'm not quite sure what happened there, or why he decided.
I mean, to me, I felt like it was pretty clear. Josh got real horny.
Oh, for sure.
And suddenly he was like, do I love her?
Yeah.
When not even 12 hours, 24 hours before, he was hiding at the gym stairs so he didn't have to be seen by her for half an hour.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
What's going on?
He doesn't understand why he can't let her go.
Yeah.
But he wants to move on, but it's because you want to have her for only one little part of who she is and not anything else. I think is pretty clear. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
His come to Jesus moment is he goes, maybe I do really want to see if I can make this work with Natalie. And when they're all getting into the van to go out drinking that night, he's like, Natalie, come get in the van with me. And he tries to be a gentleman and get her in the van with her. And then he starts saying gross things to her in the back of the van.
Right.
And she's like, God, I love this dress. She did look really pretty. She's like, I love this dress. She's like, oh, it's $20.
Yeah.
Which, super cute.
Yeah.
And she starts making a cross with her hand and chanting something while doing hand signals in front of his face. And does not care. He's like, I know this is weird, but I'm going to push through. Yep.
Kisses her without her permission. And I don't think she kissed him back. She kind of stayed there. And ladies and gentlemen, if she were to do that to him, he would have a full-on paranormal experience. The man would not be able to stay inside his body because he had such a reaction at camping when she wanted to lay next to him that if she were to do this same thing to him, it wouldn't be equal. If she were to say she wanted to have sex with him, if she were to kiss him without his permission, this is just such a double standard. It makes me sick. Like,
I was triggered because as they're in the back of the van,
I can't.
She's sitting in her seat.
Yeah.
And he's like eating in front of her and he's like in her face constantly. Yes. And all I could think was, put on your seatbelt. Yep. You're not sitting appropriately. Do you know what's going to happen if you guys get in a wreck? All our dreams, because he would go through
You can't tell Jen is mom.
It just drove me nuts. I was like, that's not how you sit in the car.
Yeah.
But he was just in her face, and she's just trying to, like, politely block him out. Yeah. And he's, I want to take you tonight and toss you around. Oh, gross. And he's saying this to her, and he's pushing her hair away from her ear so he can whisper into her ear. And everyone in the front of the van is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Kind of teasing him.
Yeah. She leans forward and says, Gino, will you please tell him to stop? Mm-hmm. Another red flag. If she's even saying, I need someone to help me. Please, someone help me.
And then she reaches over and grabs Gino by the shoulders and starts giving him massages, starts directing all of her affection to Gino. And she's, where's your wife? What's going on? Tell me about how bad women are, except for me. Actually, I'm curious. What did you think when she was giving Gino? You think that was more of like a help me moment?
Yes, she clearly did not want his affection. She was not wanting, she didn't want it. That's what it looked like to me. So she was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I also just got irritated because I was like, don't touch somebody else like that. Don't do that. Don't do that to Gino. Jasmine got pissed off when she rewatched it between the sheets.
The thing is, Josh is all over her, literally kissing her without her permission. The only thing she can do to get away is touch someone else.
Which is so weird.
Yes.
The hot and cold of him is so extreme.
Yeah.
He's talking shit and wants to be anywhere but where she is.
Yes.
And then he is in her face and will not give her any space.
Yep.
And is cornering her in the back of a van.
Yeah.
It's intense and extreme with him.
Yep.
Not a fan of Josh. I don't want to shock anybody, but that's really them. That's the whole thing that we see with them. And then we have Rob and Sophie. Rob and Sophie get to have therapy with Heidi, who we are a fan of Heidi this time. So far, we like Heidi in this episode.
Yeah, so Rob and Sophie, we see them. They're outside exercising, but then they have a flashback of their one-on-one. And Heidi says, okay, tell me what happened. And Sophie says, well, we were at camping and I saw on his phone that he was DMing other girls, and I told the group and I wanted some support from the group, and I was sharing my feelings on how I felt, and he got really mad at me and we haven't spoken since. And then Rob unleashes, which is completely unfair, and he says, why is it my fault when women are DMing me and I respond back? How is that cheating? I'm sorry, sir. What are you talking about? And I wrote down, if Sophie were to do the same exact thing, you would tell her she was cheating. This is what I'm talking about with these men. If these women were to do the same exact thing, it wouldn't be acceptable. Just like Josh. He would have an out-of-body experience if Natalie were to touch him. And Rob, if Rob were to see on Sophie's phone that she's talking to other men, he would say she was cheating on him. But no, he turned it around and said, all I'm doing is responding to women DMing me. Sir, that's cheating. If you can respond to these random women DMing you, we don't know what these women are saying. What are they saying? Are they talking sexually to you? Are they talking about your body? Are they asking you to go out? We don't know what these things are. She reads whatever these DMs are, is clearly uncomfortable, goes to everybody and says, look what he's saying. It's clearly not, is the sky blue? It's clearly not, is today Wednesday? It's clearly something inappropriate and she's upset about it. But he completely minimizes and says, she says I'm a cheater. She says I'm a cheater and I can't do anything right. And so Heidi says to the two of them, listen, you either have to accept what has happened and move forward from here, or you don't and you break up.
Right.
And this is what I love about her. She doesn't pick a side. She doesn't point fingers and say, Rob, oh my God, you're the best. Sophie, you suck. Get out of here. Like Miss Sarah, male apologist.
Right.
She tells the two of them either figure it out and say, okay, from today on, we're going to accept what's going on and we're going to move forward. We're not going to talk about it. Or I can't live in this relationship and we're done.
Right.
So Sophie says, Rob, I really love you. You just hurt my feelings. I feel bad about my body. You make me feel bad about myself. And then Heidi says, can you accept that? Can you receive what she says? And I really like that she said that. And he said, yes. And then he says, Sophie, I really love you. And Sophie said, and she says, can you receive that, Sophie? And she says, yes. And they get up and they hug and they have a really good therapy session.
Like a really genuine moment. And I think that's such an important note that Heidi makes is, can you receive it?
Yeah.
He can say this until he's blue in the face. Do you hear it? And vice versa. She can say, I love you. Do you hear that and receive it?
Mm-hmm.
The disconnect for a lot of couples is it doesn't even matter what the other one is actually saying because they're not going to be able to hear it.
Right.
And so forcing them to go, oh, I need to actually acknowledge this and take it in, I thought was a really smart step.
Mm-hmm.
We also miss in the episode, but we find out in Between the Sheets, they did a cooking class together. Yeah. Which everyone was pissed. They're like, when was there a cooking class? Like, it was just for Rob and Sophie, apparently. Yeah. And they had a nice meal, and Rob's joke was like, this was a really nice meal. We all sat down, and it only took 3 other people to get it done. They also have very conflicting stories as far as Sophie's cooking. Yeah. Sophie explains that she has cooked for Rob, and there are certain things that are really basic that blew Rob's mind, and he just loved them. And she said, a jacket potato. And the jacket potato that she describes made me want to vomit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So it's a baked potato that she puts tuna and mayo in and serves it that way. And she said that Rob thought it was amazing. Rob, in the interview, says that she takes the tuna and doesn't even drain it.
Oh God.
And will throw it in things. And that she'll boil noodles and then take sauce from a jar and not even bother heating it and then put the tuna fish in. And she's like, here's spaghetti. I'm wondering if it's really that bad, but I don't have high hopes because she explained her jacket potato. That also sounds disgusting.
Well, here's the thing. When they first got together, Sophie was 21, 22? And her mother was a drug addict, for God's sake. When in hell did a drug addict have time to teach her how to cook? So come on, people, put it in context. Rob, you asshole, when does she have time to know how to cook? I mean, come on. Somebody has got to be on her side and be like, I will show you how to cook. If you are such a dick that you can't say, okay, this is gross. I'm going to show you how to cook. But no, he goes on national television and blasts her until the day is long and say how terrible she is. Well, let's put it into context. When you got together with her, she was basically an infant raised by a drug addict. So
in general, these men who date women significantly younger than them.
Yes.
And then are shocked.
Right.
When they have a more naive perspective on things.
No skills.
And lack of skills and lack of experience. And they don't remember what it was like to have dial-up internet. Yeah, because you just got together with someone who was born in the 2000s.
Right.
dipshit.
Yep.
Don't be frustrated
Mm-mm.
when you're dating a younger woman for her ass and she doesn't come with deep cooking knowledge or life experience or remember what it was like to come home and watch Saved by the Bell. Like, fuck off.
Right.
That's not what her world was like.
Right.
And he isn't with her because of that. He's with her because he liked her giant ass.
Yep.
And he's been very open about that. What I find so frustrating about Rob in this episode is that he also starts saying, okay, let's talk about what it's going to look like after this. What is your dream future for us?
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, it would be so cool if we could live in a big-ass house with a bunch of land, and I want a little miniature pony and a micro goat and a micro pig, and that would with our dogs, and it would be so fun. And then he starts jumping on her for not being realistic. It's like, you just said, if we could have a dream future, what would that include? Granted, I think he meant about the relationship.
Yeah.
But he's been like this since the beginning of the relationship when he moved her into a hovel with an outdoor bathroom and was like, you want clean dishes, you spoiled brat? He is irritated at her for not being realistic, but he expects her dreams to be in the gutter. And that's the other thing about these dudes who date these younger women who are like, I would like to really make sure that we bring you down and make sure that you are being realistic. And it's like, yeah, for you maybe, because you're in your late 30s, however old Rob is, 40s. So, yeah, you don't have the same amount of opportunities that maybe you had when you were 20 before you fucked everything up.
Yep.
And now you can't date someone mature enough that would put up with your shit.
Right.
And you're shocked that there's some things that are not as easy to go along with when you're dating a younger woman. So I don't know. That was something that bothered me.
No, I 100% agree with you. I absolutely agree with that.
And we all had gross food that we made when we were younger.
Of course. Of course. But he's so judgmental towards her. And
so critical.
So critical. And he doesn't reflect or turn the mirror back on himself at all.
Do you not remember the apartment that you moved her into that was all one room and you had to walk through the rainy patio to get to a bathroom?
Yep.
Where your bed was next to your microwave?
Right. Yeah.
I find him so irritating.
I know, dude.
And then he's like, she needs to be more realistic. It's like, no, I would prefer she shot for the moon.
Yeah.
Because I think she could find someone that would like let her be a sugar baby and she'd have to do very little work.
Oh, for sure.
She's married to him.
Or someone that would actually show her how to exist, right? Again, she did not have a parent that showed her how to do anything, that didn't show her how to do laundry, how to clean her house, how to iron, how to cook a meal, how to do anything, how to even take care of herself, how to have a partner. I would love for her to have a partner that had a little bit of some quiet time to go, honey, I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's go do this together. But no, you got impatient, judgmental, critical Rob the knob. That is
who would rather shit on her about the fact that she doesn't have those skills.
Yep.
Oh, men. So Gino and Jasmine, I genuinely feel like Jasmine has real affection for Gino in the weirdest ways, but I feel like it has to be real and it has to be there. In the van where they're all driving to dinner, Jasmine was wearing a cowgirl hat, and she was like, I don't know how Gino wears these things. And they said, well, he's bald, so maybe his head's cold. And she goes, oh, his head, it's like a baby's head. It's so soft. I love it. Oh, that's so sweet. She also talks about, I don't remember why this comes up, but she talks about how she doesn't have any shame for her kinks. And one of her kinks is she likes sucking on Gino's toes. And it's the dirtier, the better. And the main reason that she likes his dirty toes is that she's vegan. And the one thing that you can't get good vegan versus not vegan is cheese. So she misses not vegan cheese, but she's been a vegan for 10 years. And the closest thing that she can get to non-vegan cheese is sucking on Gino's dirty toes.
Yeah.
and she loves it.
Yeah.
And we're not here to kink shame.
No.
But that's fucking disgusting.
For sure. Well, that's...
And then they were telling funny stories in the car. And it was just most of the women just being silly in the car together.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling a story about how she accidentally forgot to wear panties the other night. And Julia goes, yeah, I saw. I looked and I went, ooh. And she goes, oh, you saw my frog.
Here's the thing. Was her frog shaved or not shaved is what I want to know.
Oh, she spent too much money on that to not keep it really well groomed. We've seen her in a bikini.
Yeah.
I bet that is lasered off.
Okay. That's what I was thinking too.
But she said that she calls it a frog because she makes noises. Yeah. In reference to her frog. And then she also said because it's cold and slimy.
Yeah.
Which I don't think... I think it was Ari who was like, you should go to a doctor.
And the cold part, I don't agree with. Because my husband has been down there and he's like, boy, that's really warm. That is a hot box. Very hot. Anywhere near there, he's like, woof, that's hot down there. I'm like, yes, very warm at all times.
Maybe it's because she's gotten too much work done.
True.
Down there. So that might have messed with like blood flow and things.
True. That could be true. The slimy part, I don't know. Is it outside or inside? I don't know. Probably both.
That's why she should probably see a doctor. Oh,
I don't know.
But Jasmine has no shame, which is good for her. Good for Jasmine.
Do you call it something different?
No, I think it's a vagina.
Do you name it? Like give it a name?
No, I'm not that fun. Here's the thing. I like other people being fun. I'm shaming Jasmine, but I actually appreciate that she's so open about all of the weirdness. I find it fascinating. I'm so vanilla. I'm so fucking boring. I don't do any of the weird stuff. I'm not buying anything extra. I'm not doing anything extra. So thank God that I get to learn about all of it through these shows. Right?
Yeah.
No. Why? Do you have a name?
She has a name, but it's like a regular person's name, like a name. Not like frog. It's not like frog, but like
I think if I was gonna...
a name. If you were going to name it, would you pick a name? Yeah. It has a name.
I don't know. Probably like Kitty. Like after the mom from that 70s show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like Susan.
Ooh, that's a good one.
She's getting business done.
Nice. Excellent.
This is Christiana.
Or AOC.
Or AOC. You get weird with it. Like, who is it that just showed up on TikTok?
No, Casey Anthony.
Yeah, this is Casey.
No, don't do that.
I don't know the worst name.
Serial killers. No. Oh, God. That's awesome.
Well, that's fun. I'm just going to start introducing her to Matt with different names.
Yes, do it.
I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. Don't tell him ahead of time. See if he can figure it out.
I know. He's going to be terrified. Oh. But she's in a good mood. Everything's kind of silly. She's had a great therapy session with Reba. With Reba, the sex therapist who was like, I'm also into ethical non-monogamy. It's really hard. And she heard, I'm also into ethical non-monogamy. And she's like, perfect. So she's having a good time and she sits Gino down. They've actually had, he even says they've had a good couple days. Maybe this is a turning point for them. He's feeling good about it. He's talking about it in the van. He's like, yeah, things are all right. And then she's like, hey, I talked to Reba. She explained what ethical non-monogamy is. This sounds like a perfect solution. If you don't want to have sex with me and you're not comfortable doing that, I can get it here and then we can still be happily married.
Yep.
And she said in Between the Sheets that he seemed like he was just asking questions and trying to figure out more about it. I didn't get that vibe from him watching it. She says that she felt like he was setting her up because then he was like, no, you've been cheating. Because he asks her point blank, have you found someone? Have you been looking for someone to have an open marriage with? And she's like, yeah, it's Matt from the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nope, it's cheating. It's over. I kind of thought at the very beginning of the conversation he was not into it. I don't think Gino sees that as a real solution. One of the interesting things that was said was actually from James, the therapist. She's trying to figure out a way to get her needs met while not encroaching on him, respecting the fact that he wants space and he needs room before he's going to be intimate with her again. And she's like, if that's going to take a long time, I need these things. I refuse to be in a sexless marriage. If you want to be in a sexless marriage, I can respect that for you. I love you. I want to be married to you. This is how we get our needs met. And he's going, absolutely not. And James said, do we even want to meet each other's needs? And I think that's the question that needs to be out there. Gino does not want her to have those needs met. He is doing all of this to punish her.
Yeah.
And I think he enjoys being able to have that power over her.
Yes.
And punish her with this. So if it was like, I don't feel connected to you, so I don't want you to have any of that.
Yeah, he says it's not all about you. Because here's the thing. Kudos to Jasmine. She has made a decision. She goes to him and says, look, this is how it's going to go. You are either intimate with me while we're here, or we're going to have an open marriage, and here's the parameters. She has never gone to him and given him an ultimatum before, ever. She's never made rules. She's never said, this is how it's going to be, or X, ever. She's always said, what do you want to do? Let's talk about it. I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah. And I thought it was very good of her and very strong and confident to go in there and say, this is what we're doing. Figure it out.
Right.
And of course he's going to go, no.
Here's what I can do.
Yep.
And I think she genuinely thought that he would consider it.
Yep. Yeah. But he said, it's not all about you. Well, Gino, it's not all about you either. You can't sit here and control the situation either. And he doesn't get that because, ladies and gentlemen, he's a psychopath. And he loves to control and punish her. And it is terrifying to watch. But kudos to her for actually admitting. She could have lied and said, no, I don't know. I don't have anybody in mind. She could have completely lied to him, but she didn't. I really respect that.
Which goes back to Josh on that podcast saying, oh, she's a liar. Yep. She was swindling. I genuinely think that she thought that this was a viable solution.
Yep.
I think she was wrong from the get-go, but I think she genuinely thought that this is something she could do to save her marriage, where she could get what she needs and she could be respectful of the space that he's asking for until they could build up. She's like, I don't even want to go have sex with Matt. I mean, of course, she wants to go have sex with Matt, but she was like, I want to have sex with my husband. Mm-hmm. That's what she really wants. I think she was trying to come up with a solution that seemed reasonable, because we all know never having a disagreement of any kind for 1 to 3 months is not a reasonable thing.
Absolutely not. No. And
so he storms off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's done.
God, I don't know either.
But I know that it doesn't look good for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really look good for anybody.
Not yet.
So the last couple we have is Florian and Stacey, which is really a throuple. Heidi pointed that out. She's like, it's not a sexual throuple, but the dynamic is much like a throuple. Darcey and Heidi and Florian and Stacey have a therapy session, which we all wish would have happened first. The first thing that Darcey says when she's explaining her dynamic to Heidi is that she's 7 minutes older.
Yeah.
And you just see that hit Stacey sideways, and she's like, of course, that's the first thing she brings up. She always puts herself higher than me. She thinks she's in charge of things.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're equals. We're the same. As I was listening to them in therapy, I was so surprised by the inability for Darcey to see what she's doing is not okay.
Oh, yeah.
Stacey's trying to set boundaries. Stacey's trying to clarify what is acceptable interactions between her husband and her sister, and the lines are so blurred. And it comes up again where she says, "Are you sexually attracted to my sister?" And both Florian and Darcey are like, "Oh, disgusting, gross. This is my sister. This is my brother. How could you even say that? That's disrespectful." It's like, no, I think everyone is curious about that. And it does give this very complicated, blurred line, especially when they're already spending so much more time together.
Yeah.
And Darcey is doing the fun things going out when Stacey is staying home and Florian wants to be out.
Yeah.
Darcey starts throwing Stacey under the bus, and she's like, "You called Georgie too. You've called Georgie."
Mm-hmm.
And in the interview, Stacey's like, "I don't think Georgie even likes me.
Yeah.
We don't, that's not happening."
Yeah.
I think it was astute for Heidi to say it's like a throuple, because it is. It's either the sisters and then Florian, or it's one sister and Florian against the other sister. With this therapy session, it kind of seemed like possibly the therapist made some headway and was like, there needs to be some boundary. There needs to be some respect there. So it needs to be Florian and Stacey deciding what involvement is comfortable for both of them before they involve Darcey. Darcey doesn't get the third vote in this.
Yeah.
And what we see is when the sisters go out to dinner or go out to the bar, whatever it is that they do later, and everyone's out together, you see Darcey, in my mind, I interpreted it as she starts to panic because she sees herself as like the monkey in the middle, like the one that's like kind of being left out or the kind of being pushed out. So goes to Stacey and says, "Stacey, I got to talk to you. Georgie heard these girls say, tell Florian, thank you for driving us home and taking me home." Then Stacey, of course, is distraught because, oh my God, my husband's cheating on me again. Darcey's like, "Yep, I have your back. I'm here for you." So it's literally triangulating. She is setting herself up to be on one side or the other, whichever one feels safer or better or stronger in that moment. She's like the wedge between them, and she's just picking whichever side seems smartest for her in that moment.
Yeah.
So when she was feeling like she was getting edged out as the married couple was becoming united front, she was like, "No, I'm going to split that up." That's what I saw happening.
No, I completely agree with. I want to go back just for a second to their therapy, because Heidi mentioned when they all walked in, the first thing she noticed was Florian taking the middle seat. Florian could have taken any seat, but he literally sat in the middle, which is a complete demonstration of their entire relationship. And I didn't pick up on that until she said that, which is completely interesting. The other thing I picked up on was I feel like Stacey this entire time, and I think I've said this before, she has grown so incredibly from the first episode till now. And you have seen that with her and Florian. Even in this therapy, she's really doing well between her and Florian, even in therapy with Darcey, right? You see Darcey's reactiveness in therapy when Stacey says, "Are you sexually attracted to my husband?" And Darcey says, "Oh, I'm just distraught by that. I'm completely distraught by that." And she's almost emotionally immature with her reaction. And she goes from 0 to 100. And Stacey just sits there. And she's really great about it. And you see how wonderful she is in that therapy and how much she's grown in the show. And then, they go to the bar. And just like you said, when Stacey and Darcey get together and they feed off each other, she completely crumbles and turns into this horrible, completely different person.
Reverts.
Yes.
She reverts back to who they were probably when they were 17
Oh,
years old.
it's terrible to watch. In that whole thing, I think it was terrible. I think Darcey blew the whole thing out of proportion. I don't absolutely believe that anything happened. I think that Darcey tried to insert herself in between the two of them, just like you said, to try and build a wedge, because she saw that her and Florian, Stacey and Florian, were doing well. Just like Florian said. Florian said, me and Stacey were doing good, and Stacey and Darcey didn't like it. So she had to put herself in there. And I am completely Team Florian. I don't think Florian did anything wrong. I don't think he cheated on her. And when Darcey said to Stacey, thank you for taking me home, like he was taking her, like having sex with her, the emphasis on the word taking, she did that on purpose. First of all, Stacey was hammered and drunk. Florian was hammered and drunk. They were all completely drunk. But Stacey's behavior and Darcey's behavior, I wrote down, Stacey is one of those women, and I think Darcey is too, one of those women where I think they like to be victims all the time. They want to be with a man who cheats. They want it. They want to be in a relationship with a man who cheats on them all the time, so they can use it against them. They can use that against the man all the time. They can walk around and point to the guy and go, yeah, he cheats on me all the time. And they can say that to their friends. They can say that to their family. They can say that to the man and be, oh, are you cheating on me? Are you cheating on me? What are you doing? Are you cheating on me? They want that. I think Stacey and Darcey are that person.
I think I think it's subconscious, I think it's wanting the chaos. There is chaos there. And I think we've talked about it before. I think, and I'll be honest, I was 100% one of those people until I recognized it. But chaos is not necessarily a good feeling, but it's comfortable. Not comfortable even, but it's familiar.
Yeah.
Being in that, and also being in the middle of chaos, means that you are not expected to, you're not able to do necessarily the next level things.
Yeah.
Right? I can't get this shit together because I'm in the middle of this chaos. I have this horrible thing. Crisis is happening. How can I deal with XYZ? And who knows what it is specifically that they are not addressing. Seems like they're not addressing the issues in their relationship and with whatever's going on in their family. And maybe part of it is also their grief for the loss of their siblings. And so rather than deal with those deeper, complex feelings, it's a lot easier to deal with the chaos right in front of them. They're creating it.
Yes.
They literally are creating it. I don't think that Florian cheated on her. Everyone else heard that and went, oh, and there was makeup on his shirt. And there are phone numbers in his phone, and she doesn't know who those phone numbers are. I'm going to be honest. I have, I don't know, hundreds of contacts and in my phone, and I know who 7 of them are.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't remember who any of these people actually are.
I mean, poor Florian. He even said, I have worked so hard to get Stacey's trust back, and now Darcey has ruined it. All he was doing was walking this girl back to their same building and trying to get her home because she was completely drunk, and opening this elevator for her. That's all he was doing.
And we've seen Florian with the other women. Like, he will scream at everybody if he's mad. But we've also seen him be very much the big brother, the supportive dad figure to these other women who, Julia, super fucking hot. Natalie, super good looking. Jasmine, super good looking. And when he is in protector mode, he is so kind, and it is very brotherly. It's very like, you're like, he's a good, safe dude. I totally see it. And at that moment, a lot of people are like, oh, there's all these little pieces of evidence. I don't know that there is.
No.
Does it really matter what I think? Of course not. Who knows what the actual truth of it all is? But the whole thing seemed very much spun up by Darcey in this moment that she was kind of getting wedged out. In therapy with Heidi, she said, I can respect boundaries. I don't have to call him, and I'm not calling him all the night anyway. That's fine. That's no problem with me. And then immediately after, she's in the hallway being interviewed about the therapy session, and she goes, I think it's a crock of shit. And you're like, you're not sincere with any of this.
Yeah.
And this idea that they have that they're family, so that then there shouldn't have to be boundaries. There shouldn't have to be making sure that Stacey is comfortable in this because they're brother and sister. No.
Yeah.
No. That's not how that goes.
No, I completely agree. And I didn't really like Sophie inserting herself when Florian came back and was trying to talk to Stacey, and she's like, that guy's guilty. He's acting guilty. And I think Sophie was completely hammered too. I did like Rob trying to say, this isn't our fight. Can you please just stop? Which I think that should have happened when Sophie was calling Rob out at camping. Everybody should have removed themselves and said, this is not our fight. This is their fight, instead of everybody boy versus girl. But I liked that Rob was like, let them just do their thing. Stop. I mean, Sophie was like, I'm trying to stick up for her, and it is what it is. That's fine.
I think Sophie had gone specifically at the campfire to get everyone's support.
Yeah.
And she was airing that for everyone.
Yeah.
Because she's immature.
Yes.
She's 23.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Yes.
And then I think she was like, and now I'm going to get Stacey's back. Like, I think it was very an immature, not terribly sober way of processing the situation. Sophie did not need to get involved. And she was like, he's talking down to me. We saw Florian just wasted. His eyes, he could barely keep his eyes open. And he was like,
so bad.
Sophie.
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart. You can see him being like, I have to deal with Stacey and Darcey, and now this one?
Yeah.
And he did not have, when he's sober, he doesn't have the wherewithal for that. Mm-hmm. And so with like big butt, tiny little Sophie, like, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
That was actually a little bit of comic relief in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that, again, Darcey and Stacey, their lives are so deeply enmeshed that they're literally squeezing Florian into it deeper. He's not getting pushed out. It's just getting more confusing and more enmeshed. And until Darcey can see that she's got to be more respectful of the needs of her sister and go, even though I enjoy Florian, even though I have a close relationship with him, it's better for their marriage if I back off. Until she sees it, it's not going to get better. And I don't know that she ever will see that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think they thrive in chaos, or they think that they thrive in chaos.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was so hard to watch.
I didn't really get too much about next week, other than the one part that's really sticking out to me with the next time on is just Brandon packing his bag because he doesn't see the point of continuing on with therapy. He's piecing out.
Yeah.
Which I'm really curious. I'm wondering if I need to probably give it a goog, but like if they start getting divorced, he still has to provide spousal support, right?
Yeah.
Because she came here on a K-1 visa.
Yep.
And then she's bringing her parents. Is he also going to be on the hook for her parents as well?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing is confusing and complicated. I'm almost like, Brandon, you should just try a little harder. Like, let's figure this out.
I know.
This is going to fucking suck. It's going to suck either way. So, like, wouldn't it be nicer if you didn't have to go through divorce as well?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard for me sometimes to feel sorry for him when he does with his parents to her. I don't know. I just have such a hard time. He inserts his parents so hard on her. I mean,
yeah. It's hard because there's no... I have gone back and forth on just about every single person in this show where I'm like, he's a piece of shit. Yeah. I love her. She's the best. Yeah. He's a victim. She's a monster. Like, I've done that back and forth the whole time because that's the point of this show is our knee-jerk strong reaction. Yeah. But right now with them, with Julie and Brandon, I don't think anybody is right. I don't think anyone's right. And I think everyone needs to fix things. But I think also everyone wants to be the victim, which I think is just normal. Like, I would like to be the one that was right.
Sure.
And that you've wronged me. So I don't have to apologize. But this is huge. And I'm very comfortable apologizing. Like, they need to get on the same team. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get on the same team, which is such a bummer.
Yeah. Well. Oh my gosh.
I know. My questions that I wrote were like, do you think that Florian is drunk or is he guilty?
Oh God, he was so drunk. And here's the thing. If he were guilty, he would be spinning it and making stories up. But all he was doing was saying that, that's not what happened. Just try and listen to me. And he was so drunk. He was just like, no, that's not it. I think you can tell the difference between someone trying.
Have they had a single good night out?
No.
Why are you going out drinking? It goes bad every single time. Right. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Like trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result?
I know. He was so funny. On Between the Sheets, I wrote this down. He said, when I went back in and I was trying to talk to Stacey and I hear Sophie, and it was like this British ghost shows up out of nowhere. He goes, I didn't know what was happening with Sophie. And I was like, that is the funniest thing. This British ghost show shows up from nowhere. I just love him. He's just so cute. Like, and I think he genuinely is sorry and wants Stacey to trust him, right? He's not going to do this again. But he also doesn't want to be at home stuck and not go do anything too, Right.
Which it's really hard to build trust back when you're going back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, sure.
He does say he was scary, Florian, because he was like, I'm going to make her cry at the tell-all. I'm going to make her walk out.
I know.
Like he has harbored a grudge. I'm wondering if it's from that moment or if we're going to see more where she's pissed him off more.
Sure.
But he had been like I said, he'd been sweetie boy to all the girls for the most part, other than when he gets drunk and pissed off. Ooh.
Yeah.
He's something. I'm wondering if we're going to see something more between Sophie and Florian not getting along, which
he won't let it go. Maybe Sophie won't let it go and points the finger some more at him or something about it.
I think you're probably right. And I also think Sophie needs to butt out.
Well, because, we see Stacey doesn't stay the night in her hotel room. She stays with Darcey.
Male apologist therapist would say, they are hypnotizing each other.
Oh, God.
By repeating the same thing and having strong emotions.
I can't stand her.
I was so bummed out to see Stacey backslide so far.
I know. Me too.
But you know what? I don't want them to not spend as much time with each other because thank God we need them together for the genius of their jewelry making.
I know. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Love it.
All right. Well, next week.
On to next week.
We'll figure out what happened and we'll report back to everyone here.
Okay.
Flip-flop on everybody again. Well, I love you.
I love you.
Thanks for talking to me.
Okay.
And we miss you guys. Thanks.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.